Oh, what's up? It's a Wednesday. You know what that means. It's Rumored Innuendo. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of Studio1Sports.com. I'm here with Mr. Robert Karpelis, WWE Creative _ish on X. Robert, we got some good stuff to talk about. You might call me, indeed, legitimately, the best producer in the biz after this episode.
Way to set yourself up for absolute object failure. I'm so excited for this. We'll say hi to the fine folks joining us here today to watch Dom's Follies. E says, what's up? When's the next RVD episode, the next Fonzie episode, Dom?
Friday night will be with RVD. We have a special guest planned. Robert will be envious of this. I can't reveal the news yet, but he'll be envious. Good friend of yours, actually, Robert. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, God. Now I'm terrified. Cammy Star says, after morning on the third grade field trip, tomorrow I'll be ready for more R&I goodness. You don't want to let the kids see Dom dressed in his finest, is it a do-rag?
This is do-rag, yes. I was going to the gym, but it was raining, so I haven't gone yet. After this, I will be there. Devin Dowling says, Ayo, Devin Dowling. Johnny Disco back in the house. I'm so excited watching Collision so I can understand Dynamite tonight. Good job. Do your due diligence. Wrestling Old Head adds, good after morning, R&I. Glad to be back live. Catching yesterday's show on the replay, I randomly shouted Lycos, Bruce Pritchard's cornet impression, and thought of Anthony Paglia's scene in
So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Good show. Thank you. Willie Thornbrew, I'm ready for another exciting edition of Rumor and Innuendo. Triple E also adds, Razor kicked out Dom again. Yeah, he did. He gave me the boot. And Lou B says, hey, R&I, sorry I missed all the So I Married an Axe Murderer love yesterday. A favorite. Man, people do love So I Married an Axe Murderer, Robert.
It is an all-timer, Dom. The kids love it. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. So Dom, about 20 minutes ago, was like, hey, we're going to talk about the MJF interview. And I was like, hey, I haven't listened to the MJF interview yet. If I would have known, I would have made the time to go ahead and prepare to talk about it today. But he has promised me and all of you that he has clips that he is going to be playing that I will have an opportunity to react to live in real time.
Yes, Robert. I do have that. And yes, if you weren't aware, folks, MJF had a sit-down interview with Errol Hawani. Very, very interesting and engaging interview. Let's play the first clip. We'll start off with an easy one, but I do want to get Robert's reaction on what MJF had to say about.
By the way, I have no idea what the hell he said. Was this morning that he did this interview?
No, this was yesterday. I'm surprised. The reason I didn't even reach out, I just assumed you tuned into it already.
Oh no, I'll give it. So here's the thing. So yesterday I started a full-on media blackout because the series finale of The Boys, I believe, dropped overnight, and I have not watched it yet. So I have not gone on the Twitter machine. I have not looked at anything. And if it gets spoiled in any form or fashion, I will burn this place to the ground. In fact, I'm actually going to be turning off the comments on my side, so I don't even see if anyone decides to be a jerk and ruin it for me. So I know nothing of what's going on in the world. So I am sad that I missed an MJF interview. But Dom, let's play that. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Here's one of his comments, and it's talking about the state of wrestling right now and how he feels the business is. So here,
I think gone are the days of a Terry Bollea in the sense of a company only being able, I'm just kidding. A company, but I wasn't, I was being a douche. A company only being able to exist based off the back of one man. Now, can I say confidently that when I am on top, business is always good? Yeah, I can. But it's also been proven to be good when we pass that ball around. I equate us more to the bad boy, like Pistons than your Bulls.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because the bad boy Pistons were a sum of its parts. Mm-hmm. Now, you can say it was Rodman, or you could say it was, I'm forgetting the point. Isaiah Thomas. So like, sure. But the reason that team was so successful is because it was a sum of its parts. Mm-hmm. You know? Now,
and that's it for that one, Robert. What do you think of that? I thought that was really smart kind of an analogy to make. Does it apply, though? I do think there needs to be one key star a lot of the time for pro wrestling, but do you think MJF has a good point there?
What's so funny is I think he makes the point of why WWE has a brand split, and he's in a company that desperately needs a brand split.
Okay. Yeah.
It's one of the things, you should not have a singular character. You shouldn't be single threaded like that. Hogan commanded all of this power for so long to what led to a significant detriment to that company for years. Even in the Hogan documentary, which is his own puffery, it talks about like, well, we tried to pass it on to Warrior. It's like, no, anybody else that could have come up while you were coming up, you ensure that person wasn't going to get an equal opportunity. They were never going to be seen the same. So when you suddenly push somebody up there and it was the wrong person and they weren't road tested in advance, you set yourself up for failure. After Steve Austin and his unfortunate injury that took him off the board to begin with, and WWE went, oh no, they realized we have to have 2, 3, 4 guys ready to go at any point in time. When I was there, our roster was probably the most stacked it had ever been in terms of star power, but it was designed around how do we elevate John Cena? How do we elevate Dave Bautista? How do we elevate Randy Orton? Right now, the company is not solely based around Roman Reigns. It's Roman Reigns, it's Cody Rhodes, it's CM Punk, and then it's those new guys that they can try to elevate. In AEW, you need to have sort of a centralized figure or two that are your main storyline, but you have to have 3 or 4 other guys you can cycle in there. And I think one of the things that they don't do as effectively is they have guys who, if you had a brand split, Kazuchika Okada can absolutely carry one of your brands and be your A1 heel. And then you can have an A1 babyface going up against him. Then you can have an A1 heel and MJF going up against whoever he's dealing with. So if you had Okada, and let's just pretend we're in a world where everybody's healthy, Okada and Omega are the faces of Collision, and Dynamite is MJF and Darby. Great. Now you can build the stories off of that going forward. And if one of those guys goes down for injury or tries to hold you up for contract negotiations, whatever that may be, you have a place to pivot. And Vince's decision to move away from an individual to the brand is bigger than everybody has happened across media. That was ESPN's strategy for quite a while, when they suddenly realized we are beholden to Keith Olbermann or Craig Kilborn. We need to make sure that it's ESPN and no individual Sports Center anchor can become a Stuart Scott, a Rich Eisen, because then they're going to ask for more money and fans may follow them elsewhere. So it's less the Pistons analogy and more the ESPN analogy.
Okay, I think that's fair. I also do think you're missing a huge aspect, though, when you take that away. I think like having a Hogan, obviously you do want another, like a better number 2 lined up, ready to go for that. But like, the stars create the company and the brand, and I think the identity of wrestling. And I think the wrestling is better when that happens for the fans.
Well, I think you can have. I think his point is you can have 3 or 4 that are your readily identifiable stars. It shouldn't just be it's all in the back of one person. And that when you think WWF, you think Hulk Hogan. When you think WWF, you think Steve Austin. When you think WWE, but 5 or 6 different names pop into your mind.
Okay, I do think, I think that's kind of what he was getting at, and I liked his Bad Boys analogy. I thought that was good. Next clip I want to play, one of the talked about ones here. What got brought up was people in the AEW locker room in the past that caused some problems, and this was a very revealing clip, Robert.
And they're thinking, I'm just going to use you all as a stepping stone to go back to New York.
I think it's pretty obvious that that's Malachi Black, but I don't know the guy like on a personal level. Do I think he's a bad guy? No. Do I think he was a mark for like wanting to have his, I need my Mania moment? Like, yeah. And there were a couple guys like that, and they got weeded out. And then they went over there, and some of them found out the grass isn't greener.
Right. And
perhaps some of them did. Some of them, for them, the grass was greener. But I'd say a majority of the guys that were like, I'm just going to use All Elite Wrestling to go to WWE or to go back to WWE. I think you're going to see a lot of those guys ask for a 50% pay cut from the office. Or you're going to see a lot of those guys just get released. And it's unfortunate because if you show up to our company and you work hard, there's really no need to burn bridges.
Right. So what do you think of that one there, Robert?
I think 2 things. I think 1, you want me to get super conspiratorial here?
Yes.
I think Malachi Black's coming back to AEW.
Me
and
too.
I think MJF is setting up a feud.
Me too.
That's kind of what that look. Do I think that is who that the bedrock of that comment was? Yes. That the idea was,
So did we lose?
all right, W goes some. Sorry, what?
Repeat what you just said. You froze up a little bit.
I think Malachi Black was probably the person at the root of that initial comment. The idea of the grass is greener. I'm going to use AEW as a stepping stone, show my wares, and then WWE is going to take me back because that is an environment that I think I can thrive in.
Mhm.
I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. I think Malachi Black and Rusev were guys who were ultimately being underutilized in WWE, but fit a WWE sports entertainment mold where they could be bigger stars if they were seen as bigger stars elsewhere. And sometimes when you go to another stage, you go to another place and you get a chance to show, here's what else I can do. WWE is saying to me like, oh, you know what? Maybe we are the jealous X. Let's try to get them back. They're getting fit. They're looking really good. Let's go ahead and get them. AEW is going to run into a problem similar to WWE where the Danhausen effect is going to be significant. The folks that are not being marketed well, that are leaving money on the table. I've named these people innumerable times, but Luchasaurus, the Acclaimed, even Darby, there's just not a lot of merch out there that be lining their pockets. And you see a thing like Danhausen's act, and it's like, we put the machine behind this nonsense. Is it going to spin out in 6 months? Possibly. But he was the number 3 selling shirt in WWE behind, probably Cody and Punk. So it shows that the WWE machine works for certain talents in the same way the AEW machine works for certain talents. That there are certain guys who, all right, I seem like I'm a big fish in a small pond in AEW. You guys are going to want to take me back and make money on me. Royce Keys is a dude who it feels like they already pushed him in WWE. He's an upper mid-card guy right out of the gate. And let's see what that guy can turn around and go and do. I think Blake Monroe is someone who's going to print money for WWE when they give her an opportunity. Ricky Saints, jury's still out. Penta, WWE is making a lot of money off of Penta. It took them a while. They got there. Phoenix, I know, has been dealing with injuries and whatnot, but those Penta masks, Penta dolls, Penta shirts, they're going to make a fortune off of him. So it's going to be a lot of where I, as a talent, can be best positioned. If the idea is I'm going to get over because of my in-ring work, because of what I do, like a Buddy Murphy. Yeah, I think he has a really good opportunity to shine in AEW, but if WWE comes calling and they want him back, I could see him going there. It makes sense for personal family reasons. Brody King in AEW is a super giant. In WWE, he's not the biggest guy there. I can see where he's worried he would get lost in the shuffle. So it's going to be very talent specific. But to MJF's point, like, yeah, I think it's for certain guys, if they come there and they're willing to work and they're willing to put in the effort, they're going to find success. AEW has hopefully broken down a lot of the cliques that seem to have existed before, which was you're either in the Young Bucks camp or the Jericho camp or the Kenny camp or the Cody camp, or you're a Tony Khan flavor of the week, or you're just everybody else.
Let me get your thoughts real quick before we go to the next topic. Malachi Black, him saying that about Malachi Black, hypothetically, if that's all part of him going to AEW, does this kind of hurt the mystique of Malachi Black, considering like, oh, he's Mark and wants to go back to get his WrestleMania moment. Now he's coming back. Does that kind of wash all away what makes Malachi Black intriguing?
I mean, the main event of WrestleMania was literally based on people complaining about what was said about them on podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, no, I think people, if that clip made the rounds and circulated, and now it's like, ooh, what's going to happen? Malachi Black can pivot from that, and he can leverage this and use this as a way to garner some ammunition and go forward. So I think that's where it'll be interesting to see what those next steps are. And if Malachi Black shows up and attacks MJF, that's kind of, in theory, intriguing. But then again, it's heel versus heel, so who the hell knows?
Who does that? So, all right, next one. We're talking about, this is a good one. Talks about Nick Khan. Here we go.
Khan. I understand what Nick Khan's doing. Nick Khan's job, this is WWE, this is AEW. Nick Khan's job is to do this and to make everybody look at this. And it makes sense. It's smart. But we also have to be smart about what sources we listen to. So I believe this was last week. There was something WWE sources are saying that AEW is struggling to get a TV deal. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Warner is over the moon with us. That would be like Coca-Cola sources are saying that Pepsi makes their liquids entirely of ass juice. It's like, let's look at the source and then judge on it, right? So it's like that was weird.
You think
and
it gets
shitty.
planted?
Yeah, of course. It's a game of trying to control the media and trying to control the way people think. Because for the longest time, it was very easy, as I was saying earlier, AEW bad. Yeah, AEW bad. Well, now people are a little disenfranchised with seeing their favorite wrestlers be asked to take a 50% cut. Or they're a little disenfranchised with the show as a whole. And they're going, maybe I should give this AEW thing a look. Oh shit, they're talking positively about AEW. What can we do here, right? Now, again, I'm not coming for anyone. I'm not saying anything negative. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. It's a smart business tactic. But it's a business tactic nonetheless. And I do think it's very disingenuine when people pretend it's not.
Did you watch Mania?
I did watch WrestleMania.
What do you think?
That was it. What do you think of that there, Robert?
I want to know what MJF said about WrestleMania. I'll have to go back and watch the whole interview.
Hey, that's the teaser.
He's not wrong. It's a great business tactic, but everybody does that business tactic. We're coming out of upfronts for TV, and Netflix did a media upfront. They're not a linear channel. They're not a broadcast network, but it was everybody used this as an opportunity to highlight why we're great and everybody else is bad. Nick Khan's idea, which is the smart idea from a business standpoint, is there is no comparison to us and anything else that's out there. We are sports entertainment. It's the old Vince McMahon thing. We are not a wrestling show. You can't compare us to WCW. You can't compare us to ECW. You can compare us to AWA. You compare us to what is Disney putting out in theaters? What is NBC putting on at the same time that Monday Night Raw is on? What is the NFL doing presentation-wise that we're not doing? He likes to think in that broader scope. So when reporters try to say it's WWE versus AEW, Nick Khan's world's like, no, they are a minor league, privately owned TV show that exists 4 hours a week. We are a global brand with all of these arms and all these marketing tools and all this other stuff that we can leverage. And if you are an advertiser, and that's who they're talking to, you don't look at them, you look at us. And you can't compare apples to apples and metrics to metrics, because that's how WWE winds up getting hurt. Because AEW's numbers are great for AEW. They're great for Warner Discovery. They are not great for what WWE has been doing previously. And if an advertiser looks at it and says, well, if wrestling is wrestling and you guys are doing 3 million and they're doing 1 million, is that because the industry is shrinking and you guys are going to continue to go down? And now you're forced to talk about a narrative based on someone else's business. It hurts WWE to be compared to AEW. It helps AEW to be compared to WWE because they have all the upside. They're going to be able to say, we put out a great product. They do. They put out a well-produced television show. Mike Mansouri ensures that they do. They have growth potential. WWE doesn't. And as the WWE audience becomes more disenfranchised with what they're doing, there's someplace else for them to go. But to an advertiser, it's not AEW is now going to bring in 2 million new viewers. They're just going to take viewers away from WWE.
Do you think so? All this reports about AEW struggling to maybe get a TV deal coming up and stuff like that. Is it all fallacy? Do you think then?
The TV rights deals?
Yeah.
No,
all the reports.
I don't think it's all fallacy. I think the it's myopic to say that it isn't. The reality is nobody knows what the hell is going to happen with Warner Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, the idea that Paramount is going to take over Warner. Anybody who says anything feels completely solid is telling a truth outside of school. Warner's film slate, they don't know what the hell they're ultimately going to be doing. No one knows if HBO Max is going to merge with Paramount Plus, if they're going to stay as two autonomous units, if they're going to fuse together, what's going to happen to the TV channels with TBS and TNT. I think it's fair for for Nick Khan to say this because he knows Tony Khan can't say anything otherwise because nobody in that Warner Discovery portfolio can confidently turn around and say, this is what we're absolutely going to be doing in the future. Whereas Netflix right now, they're not going anywhere in the immediacy. USA Network, is not going anywhere. They, NBC Universal had their split. They spun off networks that they didn't want to keep, like an MSNBC is now MS Now, whatever it is. So you can highlight the things that make you more attractive to advertisers, which is what it all comes down to. Hey, we're in a year from now, we're still going to be on Netflix. We have a contract, and Netflix is still going to be a thing. A year from now, USA Network, we have a contract. USA Network's still going to be a thing. And if something happens where Netflix or USA is not a thing, no one's forecasting that right now. And there's bigger issues going on in the industry than just WWE.
Right. It's really fascinating landscape going on there. Robert, I do have a surprise for you. I do have the clip where MJF gives his thoughts on WrestleMania. So here it is right here.
This. Night 2 was better than night 1.
You're sugarcoating it.
I'll give you that.
Okay. Night 1 was awful.
I'm a sweet guy.
Why not say that it was awful?
Because
it was
that's
soulless.
up for analysts and pundits to say, not for MJF to say.
You are an expert.
I am an expert. And as an expert, I'm telling you.
If I was sitting at your house on night 1,
was better than night 1.
You were probably shitting all over.
There were plenty of people sitting in my mansion on night 1.
Yeah.
I watch their product. I watch
You
TNA.
watch everything?
I watch everything. That's not changed since the last time you've interviewed me. I watch everything. I feel that if you don't watch everything, then that makes you ignorant to the sport that you're supposed to try to master. And if you don't try to master the sport that you're in, how can you possibly ever try to be the best?
Do you root for their sort of transgressions, their...
And that was it for that one. What do you think, Robert?
What he said is the smartest thing you can say, which is if you are in the wrestling industry, you should be watching everything. There's absolutely no reason not to. It's one of those things where a lot of the wrestlers back in the old days were like, well, I can't watch Nitro because I'm wrestling on Monday Night Raw, and they're not going to figure out how to work a VCR. That's for nerds. But now everything is accessible, and you get better. One of the secrets from 20 plus years ago was because everything wasn't totally available the way it is online. Wrestlers could request from the WWE archive, from the vault, matches, and we would burn them onto DVDs for whoever wanted whatever they wanted. And it was always a good, and some of us may find out what those reports were of who was asking for what and who's doing their homework and who's digging in and saying, I want to see this AWA match from 1983, or I looked up this match online and I want to be able to watch this and make these requests. Who's upping their game? So if you are a talent in AEW, in TNA, in WWE, on the indies, if you're Marcus D'Angelo, watching everything and learning from everything, what works, what doesn't work. That's how it should be. And yeah, his assessment of night 2 was better than night 1 is not going to bear out in the future, because one of the big things of night 2 was the ascension of Obafemi and the retirement of Brock Lesnar. And they took that from us.
Right. They did.
You took away a WrestleMania moment.
And the big takeaway from night 2 in itself was that Punk and Roman main event too at the end. So that's all.
Punk and Roman was a great main event, and the falling action to it is where WrestleMania 17 is considered the gold standard of WrestleManias. Well, what happened to Austin the next 3 months?
Right. Exactly. All right, we got one more clip here. MJF talks about his legacy, and I think this was one of the smartest quotes he had for the whole interview. So here we go.
Matter because I care about my legacy more than anything, as I discussed on TV, which is why I cannot get my head shaved this Sunday, because that's a part of my legacy is my hair.
Of course.
The idea of going down as the greatest of all time is really important to me. And I also think that there's something very special about being able to say that with having never worked there. I think that that's really cool. I think the idea of that happening in the wrestling world, and to me, the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers turned actors are Dave Bautista, John Cena, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. As you know, Mount Rushmore has how many heads? 4. My goal is to be that 4th head. And if I could pull that off on my name alone and the legacy that I built on my own back, not from a machine, just the Maxwell machine, I think it would feel all the more sweeter. Never say never in this business. Ever.
Dom, you're muted.
MJF, I think he toes the line when it comes to throughout this whole interview. Like, he certainly does not rule out a WWE appearance in the future, but he's all AEW right now. And for him to kind of pitch it in that light of him having a wrestling legacy where it's not associated with the WWE machine and he's able to flourish as a star outside of wrestling, that was really smart on his part. But I want to get your thoughts, Robert.
I don't like that I'm on camera to have to say this, and this is real lousy.
Uh-oh.
In order for Max to be on that Mount Rushmore, he needs to be in WWE. And the reason I say that is, who are the three names he said for the Mount Rushmore?
Hogan, Batista, Cena for that Mount Rushmore.
For the Hollywood Mount Rushmore. But when you ask most people their standard Mount Rushmore, anyone off the street, it's going to probably be Hogan, Austin, Rock, and then a fourth. It is never immediately leading with Ric Flair, because the majority of what Ric Flair did existed outside of WWE, and that is still the mainstream. And Max has been in AEW now since day one of that company, and he is the standout of everything that goes on in AEW. He's the Mount Rushmore of AEW. His best stuff needs to happen in WWE for it to resonate and last years and decades and centuries to come. I think that's just sort of the ironic, cruel nature of the way the business is now. And if MJF headlines a WrestleMania and he does in WWE the work that he's doing in AEW, he'd be the biggest phenomenon in professional wrestling. I think AEW, unfortunately, does have a ceiling because of a lot of the self-inflicted decisions AEW has done. Not courting a younger demographic, not expanding out with house shows the way that they had, not having a Saturday morning program that was accessible to kids. I just think that there's so many outreach that they should have been doing. You're going to be the top guy on the number 2 brand. It's very tough to be on the Mount Rushmore when that's the case, even though he's the single most valuable talent in wrestling.
100% he is. I think this exemplified that too, of how much value he has to AEW. I do get his point though on that particular Mount Rushmore, him getting, say if he gets out of wrestling hypothetically, 35, stays with AEW, just hypothetical, and then he goes into Hollywood and flourishes as an actor and something like that. I think that's kind of what he was going at with that one, and I think that makes a lot more sense and could be something that does happen, even if he doesn't go to WWE. But if I had
the truth about Max, and this is where we can leave this on for today. The truth about Max is any endeavor that he ultimately winds up pursuing, he will be wildly successful. If he, based on that alone, if he decides that, you know what, I'm going to host a podcast, I think Netflix, the Bill Simmons machine over at the Ringer, the ESPN machine, they would give him a daily show. And I think he would be as big or bigger than probably McAfee. He's intelligent. He's compelling. He's someone who can speak on a number of different topics. If that was the world he wanted to go into, makes total sense. Dom, I have not checked the comments, the chat. I don't know if anybody's got anything they want to chime in on.
We do have a super chat, so we'll address this one.
I don't know how the super chat works.
That's okay. I do. Triple E says, requesting Robert and Cammy's favorite song. What's your favorite song?
You son of a... No, I know what he wants. You know what, E? You can put as many E's at the end of that. You're a terrible person, and I hate that this is about to happen.
I'm
so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
You got time to talk Dynamite? Just kidding.
I got time to say goodbye and remind everybody that we'll be back tomorrow, since Don never bothered to put our lower thirds on. I love it. We'll be tomorrow, as we are every Dynamite job on the clips, by the way, no pun intended. And the only real botch was you forgetting to mute yourself or unmute yourself, so it was great. We'll be back tomorrow, as we are every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative _ ISH account, the @SE Scoops X account, the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, and on YouTube on Studio One Sports and Podcast Heat. So on behalf of the man who was in public dressed like the hide your kids, hide your wife guy, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.